So we have to do the newspapers, and Gifty will start with the Daily Graphic.
Sure. Okay, I'm sure you know why I'm laughing. Yeah, but
No,
don't
you
worry.
don't know.
The Daily Graphic is what I have
to start with the Daily Graphic.
at the moment, and the banner headline is "Government unveils a Greek blueprint." And that story has dominated all news portals actually since yesterday. That story is on page 3, and they're doing so to provide food and create jobs. Comes with a beautiful picture of President Akufo-Addo there. Just beneath the story is local engineers take charge of Ghana gas. That story is on page 16, and some of the workers on duty are shown in that picture as well. Ultimatum to Galamsey operators end as 545 excavators leave mining site. That story is on page 16 as well. I'm trying to get a read of that story on page 16 to find out what exactly it says. But just before I go there, Buhari suspends spy chief after 43 million found in Lagos. And if you recall, this picture was going around on social media. Apparently, that picture was not a hoax. It was not fake at all. It was something for real. If you remember, Roland, this story. It happens to be, the money happens to be owned by a spy chief. One of the people.
That plenty when they saw in the 40 million.
Yes. And apparently, I mean, this morning on BBC, apparently they were using it for a special operation.
I would want to be a Nigerian, be the man's
but he's
relative.
been suspended.
Oh, already.
But you see, you also have to bear in mind, but actually it's still a lot of money. $43 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of, and you know that the naira is so you have a lot of notes to represent just a few amounts of say money. Okay, so it's like a mountain. If they describe it, it's like a mountain of cash.
I guess she was in a room.
Yes. So those people have been. One of them have been suspended. Apparently, another person also in the government has been suspended. But that story is in the Daily Graphic. If you want to grab yourself a copy, you can get that story as well. Let's check what's in the center spread. I suspect it will be about Galamsey, but let me just quickly go through that. Okay, so Bank of Ghana pledges support for government's development efforts. So it's not Galamsey. Oh, my suspicions weren't confirmed. But yeah, of course, on the regional page, they have involved chiefs in fight against illegal mining. And it comes with a picture of some illegal miners. The back page is cocoa buying company to pay 1.15 million bonus to farmers. And that story is also on the back page there. Grab yourself a copy. Roland, why are you smiling? You're being mischievous.
No mischief. Okay. So we have the Daily Guide. It has on the front page, Nana Addo outdoor 750,000 jobs. We know that is the initiative to make sure that we have a lot of food. It's called Planting for Food and Jobs Program. It was inaugurated at Gorso in the Bonafu region, and we just saw that story in which the chief said there needs to be a lot of job created because even those who are much mortar, referring to white collar job seekers, where would they be working? A rhetoric as far as that is concerned. Galamsey's vacates site, Chinese bag, and then we have Ibrahim Mahama back at Yoko over dad checks. We have other stories there. So please grab a copy of the Daily Guide and get insight into those stories.
Don't you have any cartoon in there? Any Akosia-like cartoon in the Daily Guide?
It's unfortunate that what we're showing you today is yesterday's Daily Guide, but
is it?
Today's Daily Guide.
So that's not today's paper. This is what it looks like.
We apologize for inserting the wrong picture.
And actually it comes with a picture of Chinese people as well.
Yes.
Some Galamsey vacate. Anyway.
Fantastic.
So that is today's Daily Guide.
What you saw there was for yesterday.
And there will definitely be a cartoon in there.
Okay. You like reading that one?
I'm
not able to interpret it very well.
Jono. So Nanado outdoor 750,000. And this is the cartoon that was done by Akosia today. It says Formers invite item 13. waiting. So there's this caricature who looks a little bit like former President Kufuor, and they are feasting on pieces of, not pieces, actually full chicken. Someone who looks like President Kufuor, someone who looks like former President Mahama, who doesn't look, with a frown, actually has a frown on his face. The one who looks like the president is laughing, I mean, quite happy. And the one who looks like Papa J looks quite, I don't know, how do you describe that? Furious? He looks like he's saying something, he's charged. And they say, President Kufuor says, waiting. Then Papa J goes like, chop your lane. Chop your lane. But of course, that meeting was behind closed doors, so we're not really sure. So we don't know if any waiting happened and chop your lane came inside.
We have the Daily Dispatch newspaper, and it's focusing on sports this morning. It's Ghana's best 22 footballer since 1957. You have a chairman of a committee to put together that, and Ken Bediako is an old columnist and journalist, sports journalist, who worked with the Daily Graphic for a number of decades, now retired, of course. And it says Yara, Apia, Polo, Lamte, and Abedi in starting 11. Look, I watched Polo, I watched Apia, I watched Lamte and Abedi, Charlie. But we have a couple of others too who have Charlie. Ghana, we've produced players. Overview of the mining sector in Ghana. Stories on page 7 of the paper, but we have others as well. Okay.
Shall I go on?
Yes,
I have the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times has the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Banner headline 750,000 to be employed. That story is on page 17. And one district, one factory takes off in June. That story is attributed to Mrs. Giftiohene Kunedu, who is the national coordinator of One District, One Factory. Oh, I see. Interesting. Interesting point. I didn't know there was a national coordinator. Okay, so that story is on page 16. And 2 arrested with ammunition at Agbubloshi. That story we brought to you earlier in the news bulletin. And 24 wee peddlers grabbed. You can find that story on page 3. And the Food for Jobs also is on page 3. Okay. The center spread, One District, One Factory takes off in June. That's where that story is. Prison service cautions public and pay critical attention to early childhood education. That's according to First Lady Rebecca Ekufuado. And Roland, if you recall, during President Mahama's time, one of the areas that he kept emphasizing anytime he talked about education was early childhood. And they were eager to provide education for special training, sort of for teachers who take care of these children in those age brackets. So it's interesting that the First Lady is also championing that cause. I think the foundation is a very important thing. That's why people will spend a lot of money to take their children to the best school. Where do you start school,
your primary school?
It's called Redemption Valley Primary School at Tema Community 9.
All schools in Tema are good generally, so
well,
I give that to you.
I can't. It's a primary school for crying out loud. Anyway, anyway, we'll have that conversation another time.
It's true.
On the back page,
We'll have the conversation another time.
Leap to get legal backing soon. I didn't know Leap didn't have legal backing. Okay, so a draft bill on the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP program will soon be laid before Parliament to give it the necessary legal backing, and I think that's very good. So far, we understand that. I mean, subsequent governments have spoken about expanding it and expanding, etc. So it's good that it's going to get legal backing so that the people who need these monies will be. I mean, it will be more streamlined, more of a streamlined process. GES advised to review policy on sex education. The first. Policy. Yes, you heard me. That story is by Daniel Drasa in Sinai. A public health nurse has urged the Ghana Education Service to review its policy on abstinence from sex and rather educate young girls about the proper use of contraceptives in order to prevent teenage pregnancies. That's a very interesting debate, trust me. And we can go on and on and on and on about it. It comes with a picture of the health minister, Mr. Kweku Agyeman-Manu. Roland?
Well, so we have the BNFT, 100 days of President Akufo-Addo, bankers laud debts reprofiling move. But caution against tax-exempt guidelines and domestic borrowing. This is good. Let's go to page 3 of the paper and try and get a gist of what the story is about. It said bankers have expressed satisfaction with the first 100 days of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government, singling out the move to reprofile short-term debt into longer ones as one of the most impressive achievements. Okay. Yeah. And you have a picture there of Philip Otimenta, who is the managing director of Omnibank, and he noted that with the recent bond issuance, which saw the dollar component released back to help stabilize the city, it's grown our reserves and reduced interest rates. And he's quoted as saying, "I find that strategy quite impressive. While most people are thinking about how the government will raise money, they use restructuring to release money to tackle the twin problem of interest rate and exchange rate, which is quite impressive." That's a banker who knows his job. And managing director of Omnibank.
I see. I have the Finder newspaper. And the Finder newspaper comes with a picture of Samson Asaki, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Quite a tribute to him. Consolidate gains made in 100 days. That's what he's saying. And the business, the story is saying that the business community is urging government to do so. Tourism. Ghana places 21st in Africa. 21st in Africa. You know, remember we had a conversation, I think about 3 days ago, with the guy from Jumia Travel, and he was saying that Ghana is not like a first choice for people who want to travel for vacation. Ghana is not your first. He even said Ghana will be like the 6th choice. Or if you have said you want to go to Africa, you're like, okay, let me go to South Africa, let me go to Kenya, and then later you're like, oh, well, maybe I have some time, let me pass through Ghana. Well, we're on the 21st of the list, actually, with a score of 3.04. Ghana placed 21st in Africa in the latest Global Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Index, which measures the most competitive and travel and tourism destination. That story was written by, okay, I don't have the name here, but the previous one was by Augustine Amua. That's the one calling for consolidation of gains made in 100 days. And in the center spread, it's an advert. The back page, it's an advert as well. But yeah, this is a business newspaper, so you can expect all the adverts in the world. All right. And the final newspaper will be Roland. You've got it, I think.
The final newspaper.
Daily Dispatch.
No, it is no newspaper. So we have to do the online portals.
Did you really say that? Okay.
The final newspaper is zero. So we go to the online portals.
Okay, pastor calls for national action against fake ministers of the gospel.
How would we know whether somebody is a fake minister?
Exactly, and that's like touching God's anointing somehow. God's anointed somehow. Touch not my anointed. That's the way it is. But anyway, he's the president of the Northern Ghana Union of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and that's what he's calling for. The next story will be the next story. Can we move to the next story? Okay, there you have it. Ghana too small to have 2 single window operators. That's the Deputy Trade Minister. And he's saying that, Mr. Carlos Ahinkra, he's saying that Ghana, which is a signatory to the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, is too small a country to have 2 single window operators. And the third story is anti-Galamsey campaign. Excavators removed from mining site as ultimatum expires. The nationwide campaign against illegal mining activities has yielded dividends as heavy equipment used in the operation move from mining sites. Now, the argument has been that what is the guarantee that these excavators won't find their way back to the very places where they were removed from?
That's the thing. That is if we just take our eye off the ball.
Yes, but we have to understand exactly what's going to happen. For instance, yesterday was the day that the ultimatum ended, but what we knew was that the minister was going around, but there wasn't, for me, any strong statement. It was as if
indicating it's just a business day as usual.
Yes, because for me, it's you get all of these excavators out, but what's the guarantee? But hopefully, I'm sure they have a plan, so we'll see how it goes, and we have to be hopeful. That next story will be.
We've seen it before, right?
No, but I mean, we have to be hopeful. We have to be hopeful now that the media is taking advantage of it, and there's a momentum that is an anti-Galamsey momentum. We have to take advantage of it. So hopefully we can get something, achieve something with this period. Well, the Ghana Revenue Authority has warned financial institutions to discontinue charging value-added tax on financial services because they're still charging it. This is 17.5%, I think. The people are still complaining about those charges, but anyway, government commits to pay 12-month NHIA arrears in 7 days. Story according to the Minister of Health. And the number 6 story on myjoyonline.com is about the Planting for Food and Jobs. President Akufo-Addo announces 1 district, 1 warehouse, as you saw in all of the newspaper reviews and the stories, the news items that we brought you. 2 arrested with 500 rounds of ammunition in Agbogbloshie. It's a story we've done already as well, but, well, you want to take your time and read through the stories yourself. And I was torn between following Akufo-Addo and getting a job. That's by Anthony Cabo, who's MPP, MP for Laura, reflecting over the past 9 years in politics. Government commits to pay 12-month NHI arrears is our top story at myjoyonline.com, and some other featured stories there. We've read through all of that. We can look at cityfmonline.com. Roland?
Yeah, so we go to City FM Online. Addison Committee should have rejected Mary's offer. That is to cater for their ticketing and travel arrangements and accommodation.
I agree.
I agree too.
You don't investigate someone.
Don't put yourself in that situation in which people would have to kind of hazard a guess whether this was a conflict of interest.
No, I mean, you don't even need to hazard. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm investigating you, and then all of a sudden, and you take me to where I'm supposed to be investigating. You take care of it, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's correct.
I agree. So we have other stories.
Okay, secrecy about 2.25 billion bond unhelpful. That's according to Ken Thompson. Declare cost of Nana Addo's lavish parties. As the minority speaking about whether or not the president used state funds to support, to organize his birthday party and other victory parties. Israeli ambassador declares support for Galamsey fights. Good one there. We're still on the road to that destination we're all hoping for. Akufo-Addo launches Planting for Food and Jobs program. They've got photos there. We've brought you that story already. Story actually dominating all over. BBC, the African page on the BBC. There you are. Nigeria suspends spy boss over 43 million haul. The cash was kept in a Lagos flat for covert operations, intelligence officials told local media. Absolutely mind-boggling story. We can read in that story and get the details. Uganda ends hunt for rebel leader Kony, and the leader of the rebel group notorious for kidnapping children no longer a threat, according to the Ugandan army. It's a very interesting story. You might want to read a bit of that and get a bit of history of Uganda. The President Museveni has been in power for a very, very long time. But
30 years.
Yes. But there are a couple of other people who have played a role in Ugandan politics whose story are not out there, and you want to read that story and understand African politics, if you like. Africa highlights Nigeria to probe smoke-filled plane. Zambia's opposition leader back in court. Okay, well, let's Nigeria probe that one. Nigeria will investigate how smoke filled the cabin of a Lagos-bound flight. Hakande Richelema hopes to quash the treason charge and more. Those are all the headlines of those stories. Progress in fighting tropical diseases. Deadly attack near Egypt's old monastery. And Africa highlights Burundi rape chants. Grotesque. Zambians tortured on private parts. Ghana's Auntie Oklu in Google tributes. And that's a story that touches my heart so much, that makes me so excited. So the Google Doodle they actually dedicated, I think the whole of yesterday or 3 days ago, to Madame Oklu, who contributed a lot to women empowerment and women development in Ghana. So that was also a story. That's a story that's found its way onto the BBC's African page. The sports down there, African football. Alcaraz outlines his vision for Algeria. And an Ivorian Gradel set to leave Bournemouth, and Stanley Kwenda, why a Nigerian slum keeps producing top footballers. That would be an interesting, an interesting read.
It's simple. they have the hunger.
The hunger for success.
Yes.
Success, I see.
Yeah.
Matthew Davis, can South Africa ditch its new junk status? And Lamin Konkombo says Africa's new militant frontier. Interesting stories, features and analysis all on the BBC Africa page. That's what happens when the man leaves you to do all the work. But anyway, it's all good.
It's pure discrimination against men.
Yeah, cares who? Who cares? All right, so that will be it for the newspaper review. Very interesting stories there. But of course, dominating today is President Akufo-Addo's Food for Job project. And we hope that...
Planting for food.
Food for jobs.
Planting
for jobs.
Planting for food.
Food and jobs. Planting for food and jobs. So, you know, what people have said is that initially, from the way they pitched the idea, people had thought that they were going to support or encourage people like you and I to begin to grow what we eat, you know, in our houses,
like
in our backyard.
What we saw back in the 70s with the Chapman government.
But it appears that the focus really is on, it's more on farmers than it is on everybody else. Not like the Operation Feed Yourself sort of thing. But I think that will help.
The other thing I also had was that supposing we have enough, more than enough, and we have to store them, etc., beyond the silos and the warehouses, what happens to them? How do we make sure consumption and then we derive the needed revenue along the value chain, etc.
Right.
So what do we do with the end product?
And
because something as Africans we don't do very well. We plant or we have enough natural
and then they
resources.
all go rotten.
Yes, but we're not able to.
Right, right. So these are issues that I believe that the government will be looking at. We believe that the ministry will also pay attention to the feedback that it's getting, because a lot of people seem to be interested in this, which means that there's a chance that it will be successful. But that is if all the feedback that's coming are taken into consideration and actually worked on.
Sure.
All right. So that's it for the news.
I should give you a position, government.
That's the newspaper review, and Benedict is standing by. He has got sports on the AM show.
You know the latest scoreline.
Tell me.
The UEFA Champions League.
Tell me.
Okay.
Yesterday I saw a group of people. It was as if it was a crusade, and they were watching a football game. I'm like, seriously? Anyway.
I don't like football.
But anyway, is it Serena Williams? Serena Williams is having a baby.
Pregnant for 20 months now.
Oh.
Yes, that's good.
20 weeks, 20 months. Who gets pregnant for 20 months?
But what did I say?
20 months, you said. That's coming from someone who has how many kids?
I have 2.
2 kids, and you don't know how long a woman gets pregnant for?
So. Yes, I do.
Okay.
I know it's 9 months.
Okay.
I learned
so Serena
Williams,
I have been impressed with her. I mean,
20
weeks. 20 weeks, and she's having a baby very soon. Congratulations to her.